Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Brushpile Fishing, the video podcast. Live from the water, we're here in Michigan, Lake Muskegon, or Muskegon Lake, with Jim Churchill. Jim, how we doing?
Good.
Folks, give you a little background. I met Jim down at the Grizzly Show, and we somehow got talking about some of the waters on Michigan. And you just don't hear a lot about the crappie fishing up here, but Jim told me he's got several lakes that are absolutely awesome. So he invited me to come up. We are in August, and come up today, and we just got done shooting the show. Bite was a little bit tough. Actually, it was a real ship show.
It was a ship show for sure.
Explain to folks what I'm talking about.
We were fishing we were dock shooting. Dock shooting ship docks, basically, is what we were doing. And yeah, a lot of crappie under there. They just wouldn't bite. I mean, we got them to bite, but they weren't. They didn't want to play today very well.
And let me explain something, okay? Let me reiterate what he's saying. It was a ship show, not a boat or some of these 30-foot yachts. We're talking ships that have been harbored here forever, 700, 800 feet long. I mean, they're just massive. And he told me, he said, man, these fish hang here all summer long, and he's been getting some beautiful black crappie. We got up there, so explain to the folks, go into detail how you get these. You're using your live scope. Nothing fancy about what we did today.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need a live scope. There's shade.
Mm-hmm.
And those crappie, they've got the right depth of water that they want. It's 23 to 30 feet deep, and they're suspended in the shade underneath these ships. And in the morning, you know, sun comes up in the east, so it's casting a shadow. So the crappie are out in the open, and you're able to cast to them and catch them. If you have a live scope, that's great. You can see right where they're at. Otherwise, we're just casting and counting down, you know, count down 5 feet. Old school, count down 10, real slow. And as you saw, you reel it slow, slow. If you're reeling it slow, you need to slow down a little bit more.
And you know, one of the things he talked about, we caught them anywhere from drop down at 8 all the way down to about 25. And the thing today, just like any other lake in the country, the bite was slow. And we missed several that just barely let you know they were there. But I'll tell you what, and Jim, you say this wasn't a normal day. Normally, you're just 40, 50 fish.
Yeah, easy. Well, 25 per person is a limit, and it's nothing when they're on to catch 50 fish in an hour or hour and a half.
I'll tell you, folks, we fished about 4 hours or so on the water today. We probably will use, I don't know, 12 to 15 fish on the show. I had a ball. If I was coming up here, not taping a show, just on a pleasure trip to fish, I'd have been tickled to death today, especially with the quality that we caught.
Yeah, they're nice. We caught a few today that were smaller than have been, but those fish have been hurt a little bit too. I mean, people fish it, a few people, not a lot. I mean, it's nothing like down south.
Yeah.
If we were down in Mississippi or Kentucky somewhere, the boat ramp would have been full, and there'd be boats all over here doing this, and they're just not there.
Yeah.
You know. So anywhere on these lakes, these Clearwater lakes, where you have deep water and a dock, or anything that's going to create shade, those crappie are going to be up under there.
Yep.
They just are.
As you can hear my phone, folks, but I said we were live, and we are live. Now, you also fish several lakes in this area, because there's a lot of lakes around here.
All over the whole state. There's a lake in Michigan every 3 miles.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and they're all full of crappie.
And before we continue, I want to thank Jim for his service, another veteran joining us here. Jim, thank you very much, man. The country appreciates it.
Thank
you.
you.
All the crappie anglers do. We're special.
Yeah, I know, a bunch
special
of them.
group, man.
We are special.
Yeah,
we
we're
have to be,
special.
because we're the only ones that understand us.
Yeah, man, folks, if you're like a normal person, you probably would not have wanted to be on a boat with us today.
I'm just gonna say we're kind of normal.
Yeah, okay,
You know,
we'll buy that.
it's our normal, right?
Yeah,
It's our normal.
yeah. But what's another lake around here that you like to fish? Maybe a little bit different pattern.
Oh,
than what we did today?
just south of here, Spring Lake is real good. Mona Lake is real good. You can go to Mona Lake and just fish under the bridge. There's a bridge that goes over it. Same situation. You don't need a bunch of fancy electronics. You could get a minnow rig or whatever and drop it down in the shade. I never use minnows. I always use crappie magnet stuff or hair jigs or whatever, just because I don't want to deal with minnows. But anything like that will work great for crappie. And I mean, these lakes are all teeming with them. If you don't have a dock with shade, you can go over here to the other side of the lake. You've got weeds here that grow out to 14, 15 feet, and they grow to just a couple feet above the surface. You just go along that deep weed edge and cast, and you'll catch them.
And see, I'll be honest with you, when you when we started putting this show together about a week ago, say we're going to do this, I kept thinking, because I know how clear these lakes are up here, so I thought we were going to be doing some weed beds or something like that. And as far from that as possible, man. This was great.
The problem is, it's a lot of pressure being on your show. You're like, okay, so I catch these every day. Now I got to do a TV. It's more pressure than a tournament. I mean, it just is, because now you've driven all the way up here. You know, it's a long drive, and to come here and not catch enough to do a show, that'd be bad.
What?
You gave me a whole 4 hours to make a show. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, and again, you said the bite was tough today compared to
Yeah.
I loved it. I had a ball today. The thing that really gets me, and me and you had talked about this on the phone a little bit last night, is, you know, up here everyone's here for the, you know, the trout and the walleye and the pike, and there's muskie up here.
The salmon right now, it's just...
We never saw another boat up here crappie fishing.
No.
And we caught, folks, we'll show some pictures during this podcast, but we caught some very, very nice black crappie. And for the month of August, it's been super, and we never saw anyone else crappie fishing. And we would see somebody, how many acres is this lake?
About 5,100 acres, I guess it is.
5,100.
Yeah, it's not real big, but it's bigger than, if you looked at it, you think it's bigger than it is, but it's not really that big. You know?
Never saw, now it's a weekday, but still, and you told me on the weekends it's kind of good to stay away because of pleasure boaters.
Yeah, I mean, you come early. If you
Yeah.
come early, usually if I come here on a weekend, which I normally don't, I'll go to a small lake. I'll go early, and I'm getting out of there by 10 o'clock because it can get nuts, especially on a holiday weekend. It's just, as you can see, it's marinas and boats, and
It's crazy.
They'll run you over pretty bad if.
it's beautiful up here, folks. And I'll say one thing. Now that I've been here, from where I live in Ohio, it's about a 4.5 hour drive. I can see me coming up here just pleasure fishing, you know, having some fun. Jim, if someone, I know on your page you post a lot of what you're doing every day.
I do.
How do they get you on Facebook to get some information?
It's just under Jim Churchill, I guess it is, or Jim Churchill Outdoor Adventures. I've got a YouTube channel, and I've also got a Widowmaker Custom Jigs page. You can hit me up on there. Yeah, you know, what we did today is different probably than anything you're going to see in the crappie world.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just because it's so industrial, I guess, everything we did today.
Yeah.
Like
everything we see around us.
Yeah, we're basically in the city of Muskegon, and we're fish. You know, we never went over to the other side of the lake, but don't ever underestimate it. Don't judge a book by its cover, because you drop them jigs, especially that jig of yours. Man, you drop that sucker in the water, you're going to get a crappie on the end of it. It's just the way it is. I mean, it just is the way it is.
It did not disappoint
and
today,
I'm looking forward to them coming out, because it's like the perfect color, and
it's going to be good.
Yeah, it will be. It will be real good. I can't emphasize enough. You get the products, you get the crappie magnet stuff and the B&M rods, and you're just going to be able to go out there and have a good time. I mean,
well, and speaking about the equipment we used today, we used the 75th anniversary rod from B&M. Show it to you here. If you've never used one of these, we were doing a lot of casting, but we were also taking this almost like a dock shooter and letting it go, but for a sweet little casting rod. This thing, when I say light, it's as light as it gets. The reel comes with it. You're ready to go. And I'll tell you what, man, we made long casts right along the boat, and we had a lot of wind.
We did.
But this thing kept everything low to the water, and you feel, we talked about the bite being light, you felt everything. So just a simple rig we used today. And the thing too that I don't know if you touched on is we didn't really use the live scope to see the jig falling out. We just wanted to see where the fish were located on the boats or the ships. And I'm going to tell you what, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've seen several schools of crappie that are big. I'm not sure I've seen too many places where I've seen bigger schools than what we fished today.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I know when I go fishing tournaments down south, I ask people, do you guys have schools of crappie? And they say, well, if you get 3 in a group, that's a school. And I'm thinking, if you come to my world, it's a whole nother, it's just, and they're black crappie, I get it. I mean, black crappie tend to school up more, but this is, I still want to put a camera down there and see how many are there and how they're set up, because it's unbelievable.
Well, it was pretty awesome. So anyways, I'll tell you what, Jim, we're going to wrap it up. I had a great time.
Well, thanks so much for coming.
Folks, this show will air sometime in 24. You don't want to miss this one because it's something completely different than anything you've seen. And before we close things out, if you haven't got the Brushpile app, make sure you do, folks. And here's a little message about the Brushpile app. The new Brushpile Fishing Show companion app will change the way you watch a show, but more importantly, it will change the way you educate yourself on crappie fishing. This is so much more than just an app. It will be your go-to source for weather, brushpile fishing shows, crappie fishing tips, and your own handheld logbook. There will also be contact information for guides from past episodes, special offers from our sponsors, and tips that range from simple to advanced. Download the new Brushpile Fishing Companion app. It's free for Android and Apple users. It's everything a crappie angler needs. Make sure you check that out. All right, so there you have it about the Brushpile app, and remember, it is completely free, whether you have an Android or an Apple phone. Get the app, a lot of great features on it. Jim, thanks again, brother. I appreciate you taking time, not only for the show,
I'm
but
so
the
glad
podcast.
you came up. Hopefully next time we can do it for a couple days.
Well, you know how them cameramen, we got to go by their schedule.
I'm a cameraman. I'm not going to comment on that. We'll stick together.
Folks, you stay tuned. We'll be back again with another Brushpile Fishing, the video podcast.